I had pitting edema right on my ankles. I would press into the skin and leave a dent. And if you look at pictures of me from that time, my face was completely round, which is always a sign of blood sugar problems. I'm Dr. Berg, turning keto and health science into simple habits that transform lives. I had a lot of health problems back then, and swollen legs and ankles were definitely one of them. So today I'm going to show you exactly what causes this and how to fix it fast without diuretics, without blood thinners, without the package of side effects that comes with them. Because what's actually happening in your swollen ankles is not what most people think. When you look this up, you'll read that edema is a liver problem, a kidney problem, a heart problem, or too much sodium. And yes, those can be factors, but there's something far more common driving this, something almost nobody talks about, and it is completely fixable once you understand it. Inside every cell in your body, you have millions of tiny pumps. They're called sodium-potassium pumps. And their entire job is to move fluid in and out of the cell, keeping the right amount of fluid in the right place. These pumps use 30 to 40% of all the energy supplied to that cell. They are working constantly. They are that important. When I was dealing with water in my basement, it was because the sump pump failed. Without the pump, the water had nowhere to go. The same thing happens in your body when these cellular pumps stop working properly. Fluid doesn't stay inside the cells and vessels where it belongs. It leaks out into the surrounding tissue called interstitial space, and it pools in your lower legs, your ankles, your feet. That is what pitting edema is. Now, what breaks these pumps? Sugar. Here's the mechanism, and I want you to follow this closely because it explains so much more than just swelling. When blood sugar is too high, that sugar attaches to the proteins in your blood, including hemoglobin, the protein in your red blood cells. This process is called glycation, and the critically important thing about glycation is this. Once sugar attaches to a protein, it does not come off. It is permanently bound to that protein until the blood cell dies, which takes about 3 months. That's exactly what your A1C test is measuring. The percentage of blood protein that has been permanently damaged by sugar over the past 3 months. When a red blood cell is glycated, it can no longer carry oxygen and nutrients properly. It becomes rigid. It plugs up circulation. It creates leakiness in the walls of your blood vessels. So fluid that should stay inside escapes into the surrounding tissue. And sugar also causes sodium retention. And wherever sodium goes, water follows. So you get fluid trapped outside the cells, circulation slowing down, and water following sodium into the tissue. The result? Swollen ankles. And over time, as this continues, it begins to affect the nerves at the bottom of your feet. Tingling, numbness, burning. That's peripheral neuropathy. And it starts with this exact same mechanism. Even people who are not diabetic, not even fully pre-diabetic, but who are moving in that direction can have this fluid retention. That was me. So now let's talk about what actually fixes it. 3 things: 2 minerals and 1 vitamin. And you need all 3. The first is potassium. Potassium is the other half of the sodium-potassium pump. Without enough potassium, the pump cannot function regardless of anything else you do. The problem is the amount you need. 4,700 milligrams per day. 1 banana gives you roughly 300 milligrams. To hit your potassium from bananas alone, you would need to eat almost 16 bananas a day, which would also flood your body with sugar, making the entire problem dramatically worse. So instead, avocados, large salads, berries, these are your potassium sources that don't come loaded with refined sugar. A high-quality electrolyte powder, one without hidden sugars, can also help you reach that number. The second is magnesium. Magnesium is behind ATP, the fundamental energy currency of your cells. Without enough magnesium, your cells don't have the energy to run those pumps, even if potassium is available. You don't need as much as potassium, around 420 milligrams daily. Pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, and leafy greens are your best food sources. But here's the third one, and this is the one almost nobody connects to swollen ankles. Vitamin B1. B1 is essential for carbohydrate metabolism. When you eat sugar or refined carbohydrates, the body needs B1 to convert that sugar into energy. It's a required enzyme cofactor at a critical step in that conversion process. When you eat large amounts of refined carbohydrates without enough B1, your body pulls B1 from its reserves, from tissues, organs, glands, until eventually you run out. And when B1 is depleted, two things happen simultaneously. First, the sodium-potassium pump loses its energy supply and stops functioning properly. Second, you lose the protection B1 provides against glycation, because B1 actually helps keep sugar from permanently bonding to your blood proteins. Without B1, the glycation accelerates, the circulation worsens, the fluid retention worsens, the nerve damage begins. This is why peripheral neuropathy, the tingling and burning in your feet, is so commonly seen alongside swollen ankles. They share the same root cause. So the solution is potassium, magnesium, and vitamin B1. Nutritional yeast is one of the best natural sources of B1. Just make sure it's not fortified with synthetic vitamins. But here's the part I need you to hear clearly. Even if you take all three of these, if you go back to eating refined carbohydrates and sugar, the swelling will return because you will deplete B1 again. You will drive glycation again. You will break those pumps again. The supplements address the deficiency. The diet change removes the cause. You need both. And if you're wondering, if I'm not eating carbs, what do I eat? I have a complete video on exactly that linked right here. Go watch it now.